Hey mamas! So today I've got my woven pants pattern instead of the stretch leggings. These are for non-stretchy pants. I was gonna just tell you how to change it, but really I decided to make a cutting template for these just to make it a little easier. The download is in the description below. I have put the front piece with the back piece, I've paired them together, and we're just gonna be sewing down the side and down the middle and leaving this part here open. And we're gonna do the same thing to both pieces. And then the last thing we're gonna do after attaching them is gonna be adding a waist elastic and cuffing the bottom. You can use a zigzag stitch or a straight stitch with something to stop it from fraying. You could use a suede cloth or a no fray fabric, and then you don't even need to worry about that. But since I'm just using quilting cotton, I'm using my serger to make it easier for me. Probably want to put down my knife for this part just because of the curve at the crotch. And there's one, and then you do the other the same way. So you're going to turn one so that it's right side in, and then you're going to place it inside the one that's inside out. It's all lined up. So then at this point, I like to either clip or tie my tails together so they line up well right at the crotch there. And then you're going to just serge or sew all the way from the front, around, along that line, to the back. You can clip it or pin it if you want to. I'm not going to worry about it. One thing I do like to do though, so that it's not too thick in any one spot, is send my seam over to one side and then over to the other side so that they're never going over all the layers all at once. And now you just pull the legs out from each other. And that's how your pants look without any elastic and without any cuffs at the bottom. And you can hem the bottom. You could put elastic on the bottom. You could do it like sweatpants. I tend to just do a really super basic folded hem. You could serge around it if you want, but I'm just going to sew it down. Just do a little rolled, just a tiny bit, just enough to finish that edge. And you could make these more form-fitting. You can make them smaller. I have them pretty wide for easy to put on and off for a little kid, but you can totally make them tighter fitting. There's no real shape to dolls, so you don't need to worry about that. At the top here, I am going to serge all the way around it just to clean up the edge, just so it doesn't fray, but you don't have to. If you're sewing it, for sure don't have to. And then you move over to your sewing machine. You could sew around your ankle cuff now, or you could wait. And I made these ones more of a capri length, but you can add extra length for longer pants, or you can make them shorts. You could add a rolled out fold on a short, make them wider. This general shape could work for lots of different styles of pants. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is make an elastic casing. And what I like to do is just put elastic at the back side and have the front be like a flat front. So that's why I put a lot more space at the back, even though they don't really have butts. You just take it, you fold it down, and make sure it's enough space for your elastic. You can pin it or you can clip it. I tend to do it about a 1/2 inch because I use 3/8 inch elastic, but you could do it any width elastic, any width casing. And I sew all the way around, even though I only feed my elastic at the back, because you could feed your elastic all the way around, but I just leave it open on one side. You'll see. So now, we're just gonna sew around. There's a bunch of different ways you could do this. You could do it inside out. You could do it around the body of the sewing machine like you would do for a cuff on an adult size pant leg or something like that. I'm gonna start on one side seam, and I'm gonna only have my elastic go one side, so that's why I'm starting on the side here. I'm gonna go in front of this seam here, not at it. And I'm just gonna sew. Make sure my pin's not in the way. There we go. Just gonna sew right on the edge. Flatten this out right at the edge here because this is going to be the end of my elastic casing right here. Okay, and I'm not going to go quite to the side. I'm going to leave about 3/4 of an inch to an inch open there. You'll see why in just a second. So now I'm going to take my bodkin. And I'm going to take my elastic, and I'm using my 3/8 inch because that's what I use for the diapers, so it's the easiest on hand. And just like how you feed elastic through a diaper casing channel, I'm going to feed the elastic around the waistband, but only at the back half. So find your opening that you made, pass your bodkin through, And for me, since I'm just doing the back half, I'm not going to bring the elastic all the way around. I'm going to let go of the elastic just after I pass the hip here. So I've got my elastic just past that hip. I'm going to pin it in place so I don't lose it, or clip it. I'll probably clip it. Then I'm going to remove my bodkin by feeling for the release. It's a little harder if you're using a safety pin. You'd probably want to leave a second opening, or you would just want to feed the elastic all the way through. But with the bodkin, you can release it, so it makes it super easy. Then my bodkin's released, and I just pull it the rest of the way through. And there's my bodkin without its elastic. And then at this point, I don't cut it yet. I take my sewing machine and go to the end of my elastic here. And I just sew up and down right along that hip. Just through the elastic. And I do it right along that existing hip seam, so it's not really obvious. Take off your clip. And now you decide how wide you want, like how tight you want it around the waist of the doll. And these are very baggy pants. They're not tight at all. You can totally cut off like a 1/2 inch on each side, and they would still be able to fit over the legs if you want tighter fitting legs. But that's probably about right, so that it's snug but not too hard for your kid to get up over the waist. And then at that point, I'm going to clip it in place so I don't lose it. And then I'm going to cut it so that it's just beyond that seam there. About a 1/2 inch beyond. And then I'm going to tuck it in, and I'm going to do the same thing then on this side. I'm going to sew up and down along that seam, and then after I'm done, instead of cutting it, I'm going to go back and forth and close up that channel. And there you go, all closed off. Got a nice elasticized back. Higher in the back than the front. Nice flat front. Plenty of room, easy to pull on and off. There's your pants with a woven. Happy sewing.